Hey, what's going on, guys? Greg Jenkins here from Monkeypod. And if you like behind the scenes breakdowns, if you like, under the hood, technical deep dive tutorials, then you are in the right place, my friend, because this is just that. So quick context for you. A few months back, I got a question from one of my OG members, Chris. Shout out to Chris Barber. And he said he was looking for ideas and suggestions for how he could track leads coming from a variety of sources. I think it was partners in his case that were sending traffic to a singular Optin page. And then he wanted to be able to measure how those leads, like the rate at which they engaged or the rate at which they participated in his program. But he needed to be able to tell, hey, people who came from this partner outperformed people who came from this partner. Or leads that came through this channel dropped off earlier, or lasted longer, etc. Right? The context is specific to him, but I think most businesses have a version of this question or a version of this challenge that will make the solution I'm about to describe useful for them. So I actually, at the time he asked this, I had just finished setting up a similar tracking style configuration for the partnership that I agreed to earlier this year with Keap. So in case you have not heard, thanks to a partnership with Keap, all of the Monkeypod courses are now available free of charge. But one thing we did was we wanted to track, like Keap is a big company, and we wanted to know as Keap employees are recommending these courses to Keap users, we wanted to be able to say, okay, this person engaging with the Monkeypod courses, did they come from a recommendation through the Keap partner channel, or a recommendation through the Keap technical support channel, or a recommendation from the Keap coach team, right? So we set up a tracking system that allowed us to measure where the people were coming from. And then as they engage in the course content, we could tie it back to that and say, okay, this channel's really performing well. Not only in terms of number of opt-ins, but also in terms of the engagement of those opt-ins after they get access to the course content. So I guess the whole reason I break that down is because what I'm about to show you is there's two components here: tracking the individual channels and tracking the consumption of the course content once they're in there. And collectively, that gives us a lot of information. But those two tools can be independently valuable. So if you only need, tracking based on the channels that people are coming through, or you only need consumption tracking, you could, in theory, grab one of these without the other. But I think collectively they offer a lot of insight that wasn't previously available. So that's enough from me. I think this is going to be really valuable, but I'll let you be the judge of that. Take a look. Okay, so let's start by taking a look at the opt-in page. This is where all of the leads are being sent, regardless of which organization is steering them here, regardless of which person's link they used. They're all winding up on this page. They can watch this video, they can read about the different courses, and then at the very bottom here, they can fill in their details and they can request the different courses that they're interested in and then say, yep, I want access. And filling out that form, which is a Keap form, drops them into this campaign here, achieving this first goal. I do have a catch sequence here. If they fill out the form more than once, duplicate submissions wind up here. And then the holding tank is for a separate process, which will help with video consumption tracking. We'll get to that in a little bit here, but the top line is really where everyone goes first. And there's a few items that happen in this sequence. I apply a note, I trigger a zap for the Keap reporting process. I proper case their names to make sure that, if it's all lowercase, the first letter is capitalized, or if it's all capital letters, only the first letter is capitalized. And then I apply a tag here as well. And then we branch them into one of two sequences, depending on which courses they selected access to. And then once their access has been unlocked, they achieve this goal, and it concludes that campaign. But the part that I want to talk about first is in this first sequence. I mentioned I post to a zap. There's a handful of zaps for this process over here. And the first zap is claimed courses. And what happens in this zap is it adds them to a reporting spreadsheet that I've created. So it's initiated when that catch hook is triggered. So in that first sequence, we are sending an HTTP post that is triggering this Zap here. It grabs the current date and time. It adds a row to the main reporting doc. It adds a row to the progress spreadsheet in that same doc. And then it adds started, finished formulas to that main reporting doc as well. So let's take a look at that main reporting doc so you sort of know the information and the insights that this document is producing for me, as well as for my Keap Academy team, or any stakeholders at Keap who want to see which contacts are claiming content and which organizations within the Keap company are sending those contacts, and which contacts are making progress within the courses, like who's actually engaging with this, right? So here is that main reporting spreadsheet. There's a few columns hidden here because I didn't want to, reveal anyone's name or email or company or app name in this video, but those would be revealed for the Keap stakeholders who need access to this information. But what we do have is the contact ID, and then we have the source. And this source, in this case, is an acronym that I made up just for this process. So KA is just Keap Academy, and then O1 is department number 1, O2 is department number 2, O3, O4, O5, etc. O6 is actually what I use for testing, and then we added 2 more recently, O7 and O8. And so that gets passed through as sort of a placeholder to tell anyone who's looking at this document which department at Keap sent this contact, right? So this contact came from this department. And then this is the date. Oh, and those departments are broken down here. Partner community, sales, onboarding, customer support managers. I think that's what that is. Customer success managers, support, the testing one that I mentioned, and then I've added a couple more recently after the testing. This is the number that each has referred. Hey, quick interruption. It has been a few months since I originally recorded the breakdown, the tutorial, but I wanted to show you just the same setup, but now that we have some actual data flowing into this, you can see the way it's breaking down between departments. Some departments are sending a bunch of leads and some are not sending very many, but that's to be expected because they're not engaging with customers who have that demand or have that appetite or who are outright asking for this type of material. I'll also call out that originally KA06 was my testing, but that's been converted to Keap Academy as we realized we needed to be able to track the leads that were claiming these courses from our events or that we steered here directly. The testing one that I mentioned, and then I've added a couple more recently after the testing. This is the number that each has referred, and the LeadSource ID in Keap that corresponds with that particular department. And then I'll get to these links in just a second here. But we are recording from that Zap the date and time that the Zap was triggered, and that's being pushed through to here as their access date. And then we have a column for each of the 6 courses. So the Keap Starter Kit, the IS Starter Kit, the CB Trilogy, LCM Real Life, E-commerce Pod, and Referral Pod. And these, you can see there's a relatively complex formula here in the cell. But as new rows are being added, that formula is being added with this last action here. So I don't have to, drag that down or manually add that. That's being added as a step in the Zap. But all it's really doing is drawing from this progress doc. So as a new lead is pushed through, a row is added to that main reporting doc and a row is added to the progress sheet. So this is the main reporting doc and this is the progress sheet. So the same contact will be in the same row on both of these documents. And then as they start engaging with the course content, I post the start and finish date. When they start a course or when they finish a course, that date gets passed through to the corresponding cell here. And then if they have a start date, it says started. If they don't have a start date or a finish date, it says not yet. And if they have a start and a finish date, it says finished. So we can, this first one is a test. So we can actually fill in that first date here. So let's do start, and then we should see it changes to started. And then if we also fill in a second date here, we'll see it changes to finished, right? So the reason we did that was just so that by looking at this visually, you could see like the where and when the progress was taking place. This person is making some good progress. They have finished 2 courses and started a third one. All right, another updated clip here to show you the current state of the data here. So this is that same spreadsheet, but now we've got 1,300 different requests for the course content. And that's great. It's good to see, hundreds and hundreds of Keap users have access to this content. But obviously you can tell, there is plenty of people who have requested access but have not engaged with the content yet. And that's normal for online courses. It's one challenge to get people to opt in, but it's an entirely different project to get them to engage with the content, to watch the material that they now have access to. And we're seeing some people starting courses, we're seeing some people finishing courses, but those are numbers we would love to improve. And that is sort of the next challenge here in this process. But that is an entirely different conversation. The point of this video was just to break down the reporting mechanics we have in place for claiming the course and then the consumption. But the next process, or the next step in this process, will be looking to level those up. And so we wanted to know, yes, are people consuming the courses, but more importantly, or as importantly, where are they coming from? So as I mentioned, we set up different IDs, KA01 through 08. And I actually also set those up as lead sources. So in Keap, you have a lead generation section. I set up lead sources in the category referral. One of them, or a couple of them, are partner, but so I went back and forth between partner and referral. Apparently I couldn't make up my mind. But KA01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, and 08. And I also set up a custom field for this information as well. Because some of these people, KA06, some of these people may already be in my database with a different lead source. And I knew that lead source doesn't get overwritten, right? So I wanted to make sure that I had sort of a backup for capturing that information. Yes, lead source is the logical way to store this info, but I also thought this is important enough that I want to dedicate a custom field to it as well. So that's where this KA source comes in here. So the way that we are getting that information into the contact record is through hidden fields on this form. So as people fill out this form, like, they're not selecting KA01, KA02, KA03, but it is being passed to that page through the URL. So what we have, this is a simple URL with no query string, with no additional values tacked on to the end of it. So this is sort of that base URL of where contacts would be sent. But if all we did was give people this link, we wouldn't have any unique identifying information to know like who came from this department or who came from that department. So what we did was we built out unique URLs. So we took that same base and then we mapped values through to hidden fields on that form. So INF field lead source equals, and we set the lead source based on these IDs here. So 939 should be this one, and then that's the custom field. So and Infusionsoft custom field KA source equals KA08, right? So 939 is the lead source ID and KA08 is the value that corresponds with that. So this is setting, the first part is setting the actual lead source on the contact record. That's this one. And then the second part is setting the custom field. That's this one here. And if you haven't used hidden fields, it's really simple to add to your web forms. When you are building a web form, just like you would add regular field snippets, there is also a hidden field snippet that allows you to add another variable or another place that information can be sent.
It's just like a normal field, except the contact doesn't see it. So it's hidden in the form's code. So this one is KA source, and then the other one is going to be lead source. And then I leave those blank because the information is going to be passed to this page as part of the URL. So if you, depending on, if you're using a third-party form builder, this would work differently. But because I'm using a native Keap form embedded on this page with JavaScript code, when the page loads using these URL parameters, they automatically get mapped into the right hidden fields, and then the contact who is created as a result, their information that they supplied shows up, and the information that we supplied in the hidden fields also gets passed through to the right fields. So that gives us the type of reporting that we need here to see where these people are coming from, to be able to tell which departments are actively promoting these courses and which are, successfully getting contacts to sign up for it, and maybe, who is setting the right expectations because those contacts are actively engaging, right? So there's lots of information there. But what this doesn't do is give us referral partner tracking that we could easily let our referral partners see. Chris wanted to be able to let his partners see the number of leads that they have driven, right? And Keap offers a referral partner center that allows your referral partners insights, right? It allows them to see like the number of link clicks they've had, or the number of opt-ins they've had, or if you're paying commission, the number of sales that they've had as well. So what we did was we set up referral partners for each of these different channels. This is the referral partner name, KA01 partner community, KA02 sales, KA04 CSMs, KA07 product. So they each have their own referral partner record. And of course, referral partner records have to be tied to a contact record. So I created a contact record and then created the referral partner record. And then we set up unique tracking links for each of them. So you can see I've got KA05, 04, 03, 02, 01, 06, 07, 08. Apparently I created them out of order here. But I took that long URL that we had created with the individual parameters for each one of those departments, and I created referral partner redirect links for them. So when you are setting up a referral tracking link, you can either create it for a commission program, or let's see if this shows me. Yeah, so you can assign it to a commission program if you wanted this to be available for a group of people, or it allows you to dedicate a specific referral partner who this link is available to. And once you've done that, it removes the programs part because it's overwritten because you've specified a more targeted individual, so a smaller group that has access to this link. So I created, you can see here is the tracking link. This is the destination it's going to resolve to. And here are the parameters that are tacked onto the end. Here's the code for that link. So when somebody in this department wants to send people to this page, all they need to do is grab this link. And we created a mechanism internally to distribute the right links to the right people in the right departments so that they could all send people to this page. And this page would know where this person was sent from, which department sent it. That information, of course, is mapped through to their lead source as well as to that custom field here. And then the last piece of the puzzle here is that it is also attaching this contact to that referral partner using the referral partner tracking. So because we are using tracking links, it's attaching this contact to the department that sent them, which means that I can use the referral partner reports to also see how many, which department has the most link clicks, which department has the best conversion or opt-in rate. Again, this is not a commission play. These courses are free, but depending on the scenario that you have for your business and your partners, you may also want to know how many of these leads are converting to customers, or how many of these customers are converting to, my mastermind group or my membership program, right? So there's lots of application for this, but hopefully by pulling back the curtain on my process, it gives you some ideas here for how you might set up something similar in your business. Now, The last thing that I'll show you is we wanted to be able to see the rate at which people were consuming. So, or not just the rate, but are people consuming? And then if so, like how many days in between starting a course and finishing a course does it take? And so the way that we did that was by using another set of zaps. So we use PlusThis in our video tracking. So when somebody starts watching a video, the very first video in any of the courses, 30 seconds in, PlusThis applies a tag. And that tag triggers a zap to say, hey, they started the course. And in the last video, when they hit the 50% mark of the last video in any course, it applies another tag saying, hey, they completed that course. So here is the course campaign. And I mentioned this holding tank, right? So I added that holding tank intentionally because we have this set of tracking sequences down here. And I only wanted these tracking sequences to work for people who are in this campaign. So this holding tank is just to keep people active in this campaign, or to keep people on this campaign canvas, because I want these goals started and finished, started and finished, started and finished. I wanted those to only fire or only be achieved by people who came through this form. Because the tracking that I want on this spreadsheet is unique to leads that were sent from the Keap headquarters, that were sent from the different departments at Keap. But there are other people finding these courses organically. I'm promoting them on my social channels or through my, to my blog subscribers. And rather than have all leads be showing up here, which would muddy our reporting, I needed a way to segment so that these sequences were only running for people in this campaign. So I created this holding tank to just sort of hold contacts here. I added an empty sequence before each of these so that these tags would only be achieved by contacts in this campaign. Because if there was no sequence preceding it, then anyone who got this tag would trigger this sequence, and that would again complicate our reporting. So when somebody starts the IS Starter Kit, they'll get this tag via PlusThis. They'll be added to this sequence, which will trigger a zap. And then over here in the zap, we've got 6 courses, so 2 zaps per course, which is 12 total zaps, and then I've got a handful of other administrative zaps in here. But let's look at that IS kit start. Yeah, so ISK start. So that HTTP post triggers this zap. It looks up the row in the spreadsheet and it adds the date that they completed it to that spreadsheet over here. So it finds the right contact ID, finds the right row, and fills in the right date based on the progress that person is making. And then the same thing happens when they complete the course. So when they complete that course, there's a separate zap that does the same thing, filling in the completion date. And then when they start the next course, fills in the start date, finish date, and of course, I've got those formulas to easily tell us if they have not yet started, or finished, to give us the status that they have on any of these courses. So, guys, this video is longer than I intended, but there's lots of moving pieces and lots of, I think, value for a variety of scenarios. Like, I have sort of solved a specific problem in my business here, but I would love to hear the ideas it sparks for you, because I know there's other use cases that this same sort of approach and strategy could be a fit for. So, and I don't pretend to have all the answers, so do me a favor, and if you watched it, if you made it to this point in the video, first of all, thank you, but leave a comment or let me know, what your light bulb moment was, if there's, segments of this that you're going to use, because I think that there's plenty here that is not dependent on the rest of the video. Like, you could just do the video tracking, or you could just do the LeadSource tracking, or you could just do the referral partner setup. And I've tied it all together here for a variety of reasons. I wanted some fail safes and some redundancies, but I'd love to hear what you found valuable, what your takeaways are, and if you have any questions or any light bulb moments you want to share, please do that in the comments below. That's it, guys. Take care.